So, we had an international film this week.
We did. It was French. It was called Eyes Without a Face from
Oui,
1960.
1960. Directed by Georges Franju.
Who never considered the film to be a horror story, but instead felt it was a tale of anguish, he says.
I would call it a horror story.
I would call it a horror story. Yeah, but he didn't.
Written by Jean Redon and Pierre Boileau. Stars Pierre Brasseur, Alida Valli, and Juliette Mayniel. 1 hour, 30 minutes. Amazon link in the show notes for our affiliate link to pick this one up. Black and white.
And you should.
Black and white and subtitled. I would suggest, I don't know if there's a dubbed version of this, but get the subtitles.
Go with the subtitles. Yeah, it's worth it. Yeah.
Music in this is kind of interesting, too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
A woman is...
And beware of, there's a U.S. edited version, and that was titled, for some reason, The Horror Chamber of Dr. Faustus. And there is no Dr. Faustus in the movie.
No.
It was a weird... They had a weird thing with the censors and the
There's an operating room, but I wouldn't really call it a horror
and,
chamber either.
But there's a U.S. version that's all chopped up, I guess, and probably has that title.
Get the real French one.
Get the original French in French with subtitles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A woman is driving alone late at night. There's someone asleep in the back seat, and the woman seems nervous. She parks next to a raging river. She gets out, drags the body down to the water, and throws it in the river.
Wasn't asleep.
He wasn't asleep.
Yeah.
Professor how do you even say that? Genessier? Genessier?
Genessier.
French people.
Yeah, I think it was Genessier.
Professor Genessier is giving a speech about tissue transplant. It requires too much radiation, and that kills the patient, so that doesn't work real well.
Yeah, he's having a trouble with rejection. He's theorizing on how to make it work.
So in their new attempts, they're going to rely on exsanguination. Drain them of blood. He's clearly an expert on transplantation. He gets a phone call from the morgue, and someone mentions that he hasn't been the same since his daughter went missing. He needs to go identify the body. The detectives think the girl found in the river might be his daughter. Her face is missing, and the professor's daughter is known to have lost hers in an accident not too long ago, so the descriptions match.
And at that point, I was feeling, in a good way, it almost felt like the story had started without us, and we were trying to catch up.
Yeah. What's going on here?
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, it was very skillfully done, I thought.
Only the eyes on this body are intact. Still, it looks like someone surgically removed this girl's face, so it might not be her.
Yeah, it
wasn't too clean.
Yeah, very almost like with a scalpel.
Yeah.
The detective says. Yeah.
The professor arrives, and the professor says it's her, Christiane. There's another father waiting, Mr. Tassoul, who also thought the body was his daughter's.
Nope, it's Christiane. Yep, yeah. I'm sure. Yep.
The professor is certain it's Christiane, so they don't let the other man see the body. And we're starting to figure at this point there's something funky going on here.
Something's off.
Yeah, probably is the other guy's daughter for some reason. So the professor looks dazed and lost at the funeral. Christiane's fiancé, Jacques, is there.
And the professor's assistant.
A foreigner named Louise.
Who we saw at the beginning of the movie dumping a body in the river.
I didn't recognize her at this point.
Oh, I did.
It was,
yeah. She was the lady driving the car at the beginning.
The assistant, who is the same woman we saw dumping the body in the river, seems very upset when the professor starts putting flowers on the grave. They drive home to a huge house in the country, where he parks in the garage.
Nice house.
Very nice.
Pretty.
Parks in the garage next to the same car we saw the woman driving in the opening. That's when I connected them.
Yeah.
We hear a bunch of dogs barking in the distance. He goes upstairs and starts talking to Christiane, who is not actually dead, but has found and read her own obituary. She's pouting in her room next to the caged birds.
Lying face down with her face turned away from the, so we don't see her face. No.
It seems that the secretary jumped to the body. It becomes clear at this point that the secretary dumped the body in the river at the professor's bequest to make it look like his daughter had died, so they'll stop searching for her. Christiane has a horribly disfigured face and always keeps it turned away from the camera. Her father, the professor, caused the disfigurement in a car crash where he was driving like a maniac. Was he drunk? Just angry?
I think just driving like a maniac.
He also killed the other girl to do a face transplant with his daughter, but it didn't really work.
Yeah,
Finally,
we
see her
after
face.
The surgery.
She lifts up from the couch. We see it's a thick plastic mask. And we'll have a picture in the show notes to take a look at that one. It's a nice mask. It looks good.
Yeah.
She wanders around her gilded prison of a palace. She can't leave, but she has the freedom to wander around the house. She calls Jacques her fiancé, but can't talk to him. She has become a secret. Meanwhile, Louise, the secretary, is out in
He
town.
thinks she's dead.
Scouting for more girls. She finds a young student, Edna, and tells her she's found a room to rent. They get into her car and drive to the estate, which Edna knows she can't possibly rent. Something's wrong. She hears the dogs barking and is afraid, but has no choice but to go inside with Louise. The professor plays along with the rent-a-room story for a while, and then he chloroforms the girl.
Does this rag smell like chloroform? Yeah. Knocks her out quick.
They carry the girl down to a secret lab behind the garage with a secret door and the works. Clearly it's a secret lab because it's got a secret door.
And it's a full operating room.
Yeah.
Yeah. With
Chris-
the biggest scoop light you've ever seen over the operating table.
Oh, yeah, it's got some
That
good
That was
lighting.
cool. A vintage 1960s technology. It was pretty cool.
Christiane watches all of this from a distance. This time the professor is going to remove the entire face all at once, not in sections like before. He's learning as he goes, and he's improving.
Yeah.
Christiane goes into the lab and looks around. She goes behind the lab and finds dozens of large dogs in cages. They're trapped just like she is. Caged birds, caged dogs, caged girls. The metaphors are getting deep here. She takes the mask off and goes to see the new face, still on the donor. Edna wakes up, sees the scarred face, which we finally get to see.
And I was a little disappointed. I was slightly
It was a little out of
disappointed.
focus and blurry.
It was a little out of focus and blurry, but no, I was hoping that we would not ever get to see her.
I think they
destroyed
could have
face.
gotten away with that.
Yeah, I think they should have maybe.
It's a little Phantom of the Opera-ish.
I kind of felt like that was a weak point.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have shown her.
Shouldn't have shown her, and if they did show her, they could have done a little better.
Yeah.
She sees the scarred face and screams. We finally get a look too, and yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Clearly, Christiane is not against what her father is doing, as she doesn't make any attempt to help the girl. Later, they all go to the lab and the transplant procedure begins. The scene is a little slow, but it looks like serious surgery. The effects here are very good, possibly enhanced by the black and white film. When they remove the girl's face, it's a super creepy and well-executed shot.
Yeah,
Probably the
they
highlight of the movie.
cut all around and cut around the eyes and kind of pry it off.
And I had not seen this movie
It
before,
was
but the
really-
scene where they took her face off, I have seen that
Oh,
before.
okay. Yeah, I hadn't seen that before. It was good for 1960, especially. Yeah.
For a time before CGI, it was very realistic and very creative.
Not CGI. Yeah.
Yeah, you peel somebody's face off today, it's all computerized.
Yeah.
They took some time with this effect.
Yeah.
A man brings in an abandoned dog to the professor. Why does the professor collect stray dogs? He uses them for surgery practice.
Yeah. For a while, we couldn't figure out why. It's like
got
just
so many
just like the
dogs.
sound of barking. No, they're surgery experiments. Yeah.
Louise comes in and mentions that the surgery is healing well. Edna, the kidnapped girl, is eating and alive. She knocks Louise over the head and runs out.
Face all bandaged up, but
Yeah.
apparently they intend on not. I mean, they didn't kill the first girl on purpose, and I guess they intend on somehow.
They don't know what they're
setting
gonna do
this
at
one
this
free.
point. It's
I mean,
vague.
yeah, she's not dead, but she has no face, so
She knocks Louise over the head and runs out, attempting an escape. She runs up the stairs to Christiane's room, and she jumps out the window to her death. Whether she fell or jumped, we're not quite clear on that.
I think it was a suicide.
Okay.
Yeah.
They take her body to the cemetery and put it in the crypt next to Christiane's corpse.
Perfect place to hide a body in the cemetery. And yeah.
Edna's friend reports her disappearance to the police. She tells about seeing the woman with a thick pearl necklace, which we know Louise wears to cover up a scar on her neck.
And that's a thing. Are you going to mention that later too? Why she's so indebted to the professor?
Why is she so indebted to the professor?
Because he saved her face. He didn't replace her face, but she was horrifically scarred and damaged, and he did a miraculous surgery.
And she pulls up the
and
beads.
she's got
and
a
you see
little bit of scars on her neck that she keeps
Yeah.
covered all the time with a thick row of pearls.
Not something that would permanently disfigure her, I wouldn't think, but it'd probably be an ugly scar.
Oh, the scar down there was
Yeah.
yeah. But something about
He'd
her
done
face
something to
was,
save her.
Yeah, and so she owes him, and she's in deep and gets yeah.
The police look at her photo and realize the two missing girls look a lot alike. Could there be a pattern? We jump forward in time and see the professor, Louise, and Christiane sitting at dinner. The girl's face looks healthy, real, and normal.
Yep, not wearing a mask.
Now, they say, it's time to get her a new identity. She starts wondering about Jacques, her former fiancé. The professor looks a little nervous after examining her. He admits to Louise that he's failed. We get a time-lapse collage
He
of
knows
her new
just
face
by,
rotting off.
Yeah.
Her body has rejected the skin over the next few weeks. She calls Jacques and says his name aloud over the phone. Jacques.
Yeah.
And he recognizes the voice.
And then he goes to the police, and then the police get another step closer to the professor, putting things together.
Christiane gets depressed and asks Louise to kill her. To get one of those injections her father uses on the dogs when the surgery goes wrong.
Oh, yeah. They're smart police, but it's a really thin case to go on, and so they can't quite put it together.
Jacques goes to the police and tells them he recognized Christiane's voice on the phone. He hears about the pearl choker and immediately suspects Louise, telling the police that she always wears one. The police call in a girl, Paulette, who looks similar to the missing girls, and they want her to be bait in a trap. The professor performs a few medical tests on her, which are all negative, and she goes home from the hospital.
Yeah, she fakes having migraines, so she gets into the professor's clinic. So the professor meets her, but as far as the police see, it doesn't come to anything.
Yeah. Sure enough, on the walk home, Louise offers Paulette a lift.
Yeah.
Next thing we see is Pauline on the operating table. The police knock on the door and come asking for the professor as he prepares surgery. The doctor answers their questions, and they leave completely satisfied. Meanwhile, Paulette wakes up. Christiane cuts her loose and stabs Louise right in the pearl necklace.
Symbolic there, yeah.
Christiane then lets all the dogs out of their cages. The dogs come across the professor outside, and they all pile on and kill the professor. They tear him apart.
The professor who has hurt them and abused them and neglected them. And now it's revenge of the doggies.
She then lets all the birds out of their cages, and they're a little less vicious.
Yeah.
She then walks off into the woods.
Dancing around with the birds.
Yeah.
They're all kind of fluttering.
Everybody is free.
Yeah. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. That's the ending that I see there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Life gives you a rubber face, go live in the woods. The photography is very sharp, and it all looks really good for being black and white. Then again, this is 1960. Things had progressed a long time. Black and white ought to look good.
Well, I think by this time...
It was a choice.
Yeah, it was a choice. It was an artistic choice to have it in black and white.
The music alternates from fun and whimsical to creepy and dangerous, and it's perfect for this film. Christiane's mask looks like something out of an old Twilight Zone episode. It's very doll-like and rigid, but it also looks very good.
Yeah, it must have been prosthetics and makeup. Well, it mentions that in the trivia.
Yeah.
That it's suspected, but there doesn't seem to be a firm answer on that.
I would say it's probably a rubber mask with like adhesive and makeup around the edges to make it stick
And then
tighter.
when she's holding the mask, it's a
plastic,
a plastic, hard plastic shell. But when she's got it on, it's definitely conforming with her face and moving with her face, kind of. So,
yeah. A couple times she talks, and you can see the mouth kind of moving.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
She's very doll-like. Again, the black and white probably makes it look creepier than color would.
Yeah.
So again, it's
I think it was
by the black
definitely
and white.
a good choice to have it black and white.
The dog mauling scene was predictable, but surprisingly graphic. There are a lot of similarities to the Skin I Live In that we reviewed from 2011.
A little bit, yeah.
This has a lot less action and gore, but it's a much more coherent film. That one was trying to do all kinds of things, and it didn't do it well.
Yeah. This does it better.
Moody, stylish, the suspense continues to build, and the payoff is worthwhile. I definitely recommend it, especially to someone who may be looking to appreciate black and white films, but finds the old ones boring.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like black and white because they say, oh, that's so boring.
This wasn't boring.
This isn't boring.
No.
And it's a very high-quality black and white. So, if you don't like black and white, give this a try. You may like it anyway.
Yeah.
And that's our show.
It is our show.
We've got something new this week. buymeacoffee.com/horror guys. We like coffee.
I love coffee.
Patreon. Some people don't like Patreon. So there's another option to send us buy us a coffee. Buymeacoffee.com/horror guys. We'll have a link in the show notes. And video people, look down here. I'll put it on screen. Get ready for next week, because we'll be watching the Universal Studio flick, The Ghost of Frankenstein from 42. The Curse of Frankenstein from 1957.
Looks like a Frankenstein kind of week.
And the new movie The Hole in the Ground from 2019.
I've heard good things about that one.
And Climax, international feature from 2018. Also, we're going to forego our weekly short and talk about the independent feature Between the Darkness, also called Come Said the Night. It's going to be released on the 20th of this month, so it's a pre-release.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
We
seeing
are
that.
ahead of the game this
We
time.
are, yeah.
Give those a watch this week and see if your opinion matches ours.
I don't know if they'll be able to see that indie one.
Probably not.
Yeah.
HorrorGuys.com, Patreon.com/HorrorGuys, or BuyMeACoffee.com/HorrorGuys. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.